What's up, America? It's not Wednesday night, but I'm still in the car, still making a video because something crazy happened on Wednesday night, which is why I needed a few days to kind of process this before I did a Wednesday video, or the video that I would normally do on Wednesday. Just when you think you've seen it all, you remember, oh, hey, this is a maximum security prison and anything could happen and I should not let my guard down at all. Anyway. So for the men this week, the men's meeting was fine. Nothing to report. The women came in, and there were 6 or 7 of them, which is that's a little bit lower than what we usually have. Sometimes, if drug and alcohol is going on at the same time, they really eats into our worship time because a lot of the ladies have mandatory AA that they have to go to, or NA. So when those volunteers are in the prison, they have to go to those meetings. Anyway, so we had 6 or 7 gals, and there was only one that I didn't recognize. So our gospel was about the Pharisees, right? So we're talking about this gospel lesson. It was from the Gospel of Mark. I don't remember which verses, unfortunately. Sorry. I didn't have a whole lot to say that night because my friend, who also goes in with me, he had said a lot of very good points and kind of encapsulated everything really well. So I said, okay, well, let's open up the floor for questions, discussion. You know, what have you guys been reading scripturally, spiritually? Can we kind of have a round table about that? Could we address any questions or any concerns, confusion? We could even talk about religious beliefs in light of the national news. Sorry, I thought someone was going to hit my car. And so this new woman, I don't know her name, she'd been kind of sitting there, and I could tell she was like sizing me up. She's kind of like looking at me like this. She was probably, I don't know, 45, 50. And so she raises her hand, and I say, yeah, what do you got? She goes, okay, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. This is her talking. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. She goes, I agree with everything that you guys have said about, you know, Jesus, about how we should treat people. I agree with all that. So I said, okay, good. And she goes, but I'm just a little bit confused by your appearance. Meaning my appearance. And immediately all of the other women were like, they were kind of like, just shut up, like keep your mouth shut. But I wanted to hear what she had to say, because I could tell that she had been struggling with herself, like, well, should I even bring this up? And so I said, okay, well, can you tell me what you mean by that? And she was very bothered because I was wearing a red dress. And she thought that, like, she had been raised in a church. It was some kind of independent Baptist church where she had been told that it was evil and sinful to wear red because it was the color of the devil. Let that sink in for a moment. She was not just talking to hear her head rattle. I could tell she was really concerned about the fact that I was wearing a red dress. And so I had to try to keep all the other inmates from like turning on her so I could address this, because that's actually a very courageous thing, I think, to ask a question like that when you know that it could be an unpopular question, that it could even have made me very angry. Now, it didn't make me angry at all, but she didn't know that. She'd never met me before. Now, here's why this was really weird for me. I was dressed extremely modestly, okay? I had a red dress on that went down below my elbow, so it was like a 3/4 length sleeve dress with a wrap bust that I had safety pinned so that it was really like it closed here, so there was no cleavage showing anything. And the dress went down to my knees, and beneath the dress I had a long gray jersey skirt from Target, and then I was wearing red platform sandals. So I was covered from my middle of my forearm to my toes. And I had my hair in a ponytail. I had very minimal basic makeup on. And I was so thankful that I had chosen that outfit, because of course I always try to dress modestly, particularly when I'm going into prison. But I was really covered up. Thank God for that. Because if I hadn't been, I think she would have had a better point. And so I was trying to talk with her about exactly what she meant, because she realized as soon as she opened her mouth that, like, the other ladies were kind of turning on her, and she thought, well, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. And I said, no, this can be a really good discussion. And especially, in fact, in light of the fact that the gospel today was about the Pharisees. And I said, okay, so you grew up in this church, or you've been going to this church that has a lot of nitty-gritty rules about the way that men and women should dress, right? But that's a kind of superficial. You know, of course, each of us has the responsibility to dress in a way that honors God. We don't want to dress in a way that reveals too much and, you know, makes it about us rather than about God, especially if we're married. But, you know, going into a prison, you want to look presentable, but you don't want to look like you're trying to find a little something on the side. But at the same time, I said, if somebody's dress is so offensive to you, speaking to this woman, but trying not to be very harsh with it, I think also it's good whenever any of us finds ourselves concerned about what other people are doing or what other people are wearing to ask ourselves, why am I so concerned about that? And a lot of times, the reason for that is because that kind of superficial focus on things, it allows us to tell ourselves that we're doing good spiritual work and that we're reading the Bible, we're going to church, we're trying to apply Christ's principles to our lives. But what we're really doing is we're looking for breaches of those principles in other people, right? And I made sure to tell her, I was like, look, I'm not coming down on you at all. I'm not criticizing you. I'm not trying to like rebuke you. You haven't upset me, but I'm trying to make a generalized point here, which is that whenever any of us feels compelled to have thoughts like that, and we all do, so don't even lie, right? We all do. We have to say, well, no, wait a minute. If I'm looking at him over there or her over here, I'm not praying. And that's bad. So that can be kind of a useful barometer, you know. So of course, some people are going to come to church dressed inappropriately. A couple weeks ago at my church, there was a little girl. She was probably 10, and she had on a miniskirt that was so short that you could see the bottom of her underwear. Truly, I mean, it was distracting. In that case, though, of course, not the girl's fault; it's her mother's fault. But regardless, we have to police ourselves with that. But I said, you know, okay, well, if your church is associating red with the devil because maybe red and orange are hellfire colors, well, the blood of Christ was also red. The blood of the martyrs is also red. Our human blood is also red. And in Orthodox iconography, red is the color of sanctity. So I also tried to spin it that way and say, we gotta stop being so superficial here. It doesn't mean that we can just dress like sluts all the time, that our appearance doesn't matter, but we should just police ourselves. And I'm hoping and praying that I was able to say that in a way that didn't come off as confrontational. I mean, I sure tried to. And at the end, she came up to me and she was like, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by that. And I said, I know, I'm not upset. You're going to have to work a lot harder than that to upset me. Come on. So hopefully I addressed her concerns and she'll be back next week, I hope. You know, I don't want anyone to feel like they're asking a stupid question. The only stupid questions are the ones that you don't ask. But anyway, it just really, really kind of scared me because it reaffirmed my knowledge that there's a lot of churches even today. You know, she wasn't talking about a church 50 years ago. She was talking about a church 6 months ago where their pastors get up in those pulpits and they scream and yell about this. Okay, another thing was she didn't like my nail polish. She thought it was black, and it wasn't even black, it was dark red. But you know, obviously her pastor had said something in the pulpit about women's nail polish. Really? Really? Is that, you know, if I'm going to hell, I don't think it's because I'm wearing nail polish. So that just really was very sobering for me to think that there still are people that are teaching this with a straight face. Really, 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 really scary stuff. So I thought that you might get a kick out of that. And you know, the church fathers counsel us to not let other people's praise or rebukes affect our internal joy too much. So this is a good lesson in that, too. Hopefully I was able to handle it in a way that didn't upset her or me. I thought you'd get a kick out of it anyway. I guess that's all I got for today. So God be with you. Talk to you later. Bye.